We're going to talk about hockey for a full hour. So come join us. Don't go anywhere. Hello! It's Wednesday, and you're listening to the PHNX Hockey Podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. At participating locations, visit circlek.com for details. I'm Leah here with Petey. We got Shane behind the Mac. How are you?
I don't even know what that is. Yeah. I'm going with it. It kind of
it's a dog who's been struck by a car.
Oh my god, that got dark quick.
Wow.
Well, he's fine.
Okay.
It's Wednesday. Is it a Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
I never can keep track of
Well,
these.
so Petey, the show runs every Wednesday at noon.
So that should be an easy way for me to keep track.
Yep.
Of
if you're in the office, it's Wednesday.
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh man. Well, as always, don't forget to hit the like button on this video, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. We're going to talk about the latest storylines around the NHL, who's hot, who's not, injuries, threats of rebuilds. We're going to talk about the coaches in NHL 25 because that is a whole thing. And then we'll check in on the status of a rink getting built down in Tucson, the Roadrunners, and ASU Hockey. So
that's a lot to do in an hour.
It's a lot to do in an hour. It's all hockey.
All hockey.
And you know what? It's just going to feel good today.
It's just hockey.
We haven't checked in on the NHL in a while, Pete.
We have not. It's still going on. Even though it's not here in Arizona, it's still happening.
It is. And it's funny because there's some people who are like all in, and then there's some people who have completely checked out of watching the NHL. And it's been hard for me to keep track. And, you know, we used to, on our post-game shows, we would look at the standings
and the scores and what's
happening in the division. And we just don't have that touch point anymore. So this feels long overdue to check in on what's going on around the NHL. And I think we should start with the team that is atop the standings, not just in their division, not just in their conference, but in the
Phoenix?
league. No. It is old Phoenix, the Winnipeg Jets.
Soon to be Phoenix 2.0.
Good Lord.
No, I won't start that.
Well,
Sorry,
we might talk about
Jets
it. The Winnipeg Jets, will they ever lose again? They are 12-1, 9-1 in their last 10 games. They only lost to Toronto this season. I mean, I know we all thought they would be probably like good. I think we had them projected middle. Again, we're only 1 month into the NHL season. David in the chat said, "What's up? Winnipeg Jets are the best in the business, 12-1-0. David, right on time to talk about Winnipeg. What makes them so good right now?
So one of the things about Winnipeg, and it's always the forgotten team. Like you hear so much about the teams in the East Coast and the New York Rangers, Capitals, Penguins, and the Jets just don't get any American love. Sorry, David, up north of the border, they do. But this is a team that had a good season last year, that was actually predicted to be one of the best teams in the Central a few years ago. That's still predominantly the same team. They got the best goalie in the league, I think, in Connor McDavid. But I thought they were going to take a step backwards with Rick Bowness leaving. I really, really did. The one thing that makes this team so good is they can play any way you want to play them. You want to play them in a run and gun 7-6 game, they can play that. They've got the skill and the speed to play that kind of game. You want to play in a heavy muck it up in the corner game, they can play that kind of game. They want to play a 2-1 defensive game. They are built so well top to bottom that I think that they're going to be they're a team to look out for. And it's their goaltending leads the way. This is a really, 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 really good hockey team. They're better than I thought they were going to be this year. Having said that, there's some bad teams in their division that are going to be chasing them as this continues to go on.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Winnipeg Jets are the ones leading the charge here. Not that I didn't think they would be even in the top third of the NHL standings. They were not the one that I would expect to only have one loss at this point.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable to see. And it makes me happy because I like to see I say it every week. I like to see these teams in smaller markets do well.
Yeah.
I like to see the underdogs prevail. So I'm happy for the Winnipeg Jets, especially you go back to not this past summer, but the summer before. Like, we all thought this would be a bottom of the barrel team, and here they are out of the gate 1 month into this season, leading the way with 5 points more than the second best team.
And they're
in
leading the
league.
league in scoring.
Yeah.
And this team completely.
Plus 32 is their
it's
goal
unbelievable.
differential.
And we talk about being that goal differential is kind of like the mark of making the playoffs. American Thanksgiving is right around the corner.
That's crazy,
And
because
that's the line.
That's the line, and they are way ahead of the curve.
Way above that line. It's a good hockey team, and it's one that people I think will start to take notice of. If they're not already, is they're a fun team to watch, man. They generate offense. They get the puck up the ice quick. I just don't know if I want to do too many road trips too.
Yeah, especially not as the season progresses into the dead of winter. And on that note, and not to bring this up, and I feel like I bring this up every time we talk about how good they are, is the attendance is still a problem there. And I'm never going to be the type of person who says, like, oh, if they're winning and attendance is bad, like, relocate the team. We all know I am anti-relocation because we have been there.
Yeah, they're not moving.
They're not moving.
People talk about the attendance here. Buddy, their owners are billionaires. Dude's fine in Winnipeg. The economic climate there is difficult, and you keep selling a team to a bunch of fan base and expect them to pay for everything going on. A small community like that, you're going to have some attendance issues.
That's what I'm saying.
Ain't moving.
It's not...
moving.
The attendance numbers are not a reflection on the passion of the fan base, and I think that's the biggest misconception about attendance numbers that drives me nuts as somebody who lived it. It's not a reflection of the passion of the fan base. Winnipeg Jets fans are extremely passionate, and they deserve to have a hockey team, but they also deserve to have a team that they can afford to go watch. There's so many like structural things in place that could prevent them from being able to go to games. So that's up to whoever it is, the ownership, the city. Like, this is a team that deserves to have a sold out building every single night. So whatever needs to happen to make that happen.
Yep. They're going to have to lower ticket prices at some point. Yeah, I think you're going to have to. Yep. We'll see.
Well, to the flipping the standings to the other end, a complete opposite. The Nashville Predators are on the struggle bus. This was a team, meanwhile, when we talk about the Central Division, when we did our Central Division previews, with all the additions Nashville made, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, you look at their roster, we were thinking this is for sure a playoff team. For sure. Top 3 in the division, potentially, if not top 4. And 1 month into the season, Petey, they're in 31st place. They're 4-7-1, have 9 points. The only team they're ahead of in the standings are the Philadelphia Flyers, who are 4-8-1. So it's bad vibes in Nashville. What the heck is happening?
This team was top 10 in scoring a year ago. They add Stamkos. They add Marchessault. Oh, things are going to get a lot better. No, they're not. They're 29th in the league in offense, in goals for per game. 29th. That's horrible.
I will say I had them 5th.
Did you?
Yeah, you did. That was your hot take.
I was on the Nashville Predator team. Well, let's say this. They've got points in 4 of their last 5. They might be digging their way out of it. I've talked to some people there. It's hard. It's hard to change that atmosphere once you've been in that position where you're expected to be really good and you're not. So I think the negativity is definitely brewing there. This is a team that is 3rd in the NHL in shots, but 29th in goals. So at some point, they're the worst shooting percentage team in the National Hockey League. At some point, that's going to even out, and they're going to start scoring a little bit more. The thing that when you watch the Nashville Predators and what's always made them successful is their ability to grind it out. They play one way. They're on top of you. They're hard in the corners. They're a very hard team to play against, and they're not playing that way right now. And I think the addition of Stamkos and Marchessault, I think people just kind of expected, we're going to be better. Brady Shea's here. Well, it's going to be better. We're just added people. But I don't think they continue to play the same way they've always played in the past with the addition of those players. If they can ever figure out those two things, I still think it's going to be a good hockey team. There's a lot of good players here. Stamkos is still waiting for his first 5-on-5 goal 12 games into this season. Marchessault has 1 5-on-5 goal. This team just isn't scoring. And I think at some point they're going to turn that around. I still like this team. I still think this is a team to look out for in chasing from the bottom in the Central Division. But man, have they had a tough go. And we'll see. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think about last year's Nashville Predators team when they were really struggling and they had that trip to Vegas planned to go to the Sphere. And the management group said, you're
You're
not
done.
doing that.
Nope.
And then they went on this insane run where they had points in like 17 straight games or whatever it was. Maybe something similar will happen because today GM Barry Trotz goes on the radio and says, if we don't start to get it going, then I'm going to start our rebuild plan a little bit. Like that's
insane.
I mean, it's dramatic, but you'd think that he's not doing that, keeping in mind that they're going to hear that. Like, what is the reason behind him saying
100%? That is a message to the players.
Yeah.
There is no way. He's an old coach that has been successful behind the bench. He's won wherever he's been, and he knows how to push players' buttons. That's what he does. This is a direct message to that locker room, period. It's like, boys, you like it here? You like playing here in Nashville? It's a nice place to live. Better start winning. Because there is no way when you look at with this roster, a little bit of cap space. They got about $4 million in cap space, but this is a team that has all those players we talked about. Marchessault, this +3. Stamkos, this +3. Saros, this +3. Yossi, this +3. So their plan is to have all of this core of these major stars over the next 4 seasons. So that's not a rebuild. The one thing that this team has an advantage of is they're like what the Arizona Coyotes had been over the last few years. They've got 5 picks in the first 2 rounds this year. They got 3 first-round picks coming up in this summer's draft. So you will be able to add those pieces, but we know from going through rebuilds, Leah, they're not going to be ready to play.
No.
So you need to get through. This roster should be able to compete for a Stanley Cup. So when you're saying get through a rebuild, are you out of your mind? Like this team is trying to win a Stanley Cup right now. They're just in last in the West right now, 12 games in.
Yeah.
Like I said, they got 4 out of 5. I think Trotz is trying to send a message to his leadership group, to his veteran players, that they need to pull this together. And
he saw the punishment last season sparked
no
the
concerts.
team. So
no concerts.
That's kind of how I read that.
Would you be
comment.
punished if you didn't get to go to a concert? I might not care.
If I didn't get to go to a concert?
Yeah, I want to stay at home.
Well,
Why
you
would I
always
wanna
want to
go?
stay at home.
I know.
D. Ely in the chat
Punishment.
said, Canes are right behind the Jets at 9-2-0, 7 wins in a row. Nature's is on fire. That he is. He was one of the 3 stars of the week for the NHL last week. He's also on my fantasy hockey
Is he really?
team. So I've been very thrilled with his performance. But yeah, don't want to undersell
It's
what
funny though.
they're doing.
Carolina, Leah, is one of those teams, just kind of like we were talking about Winnipeg, that nobody notices. Carolina just does this quietly.
Yeah, always.
They don't get the national
Another
TV
small market
love.
team,
Yep.
yeah.
They don't get the national TV love. You don't know any superstars. I know Aho is a really good player, and Natchez is a really good player, but they don't have
They
that.
don't have the flashy superstar.
They don't have
They don't
that.
have the Kachuk, the
McDavid,
Florida.
McKinnon, Kachuk. They don't have that. They've got good players.
Yeah.
I think we've always loved the way they defended, and maybe this is the year. They're plus 18.
By
We'll
the way,
see.
how about your last place in the Central pick, Minnesota Wild, 8-2-2, fifth in the league.
I hope we deleted that show of where I picked things. They're fine, but let's face it. And Minnesota's winning because Kirill Kaprizov is having a Hart Trophy season. He's phenomenal right now. And you look at Matt Boldy, his line mate, is playing again. Matt Boldy, I think, is the reason why Kaprizov's having this success. I think this Minnesota team is playing fast. They're exciting to watch. They get pucks to the net. Gosh, I keep waiting for the shoe to drop, and then Gustafsson plays way better than expected. Gustafsson was average at best, if not below average, a year ago. Now he's playing Vezina type numbers. This is crazy in Minnesota. I don't think that can last because of what I said. There's teams behind them. Dallas behind them. Colorado's behind them. Nashville's behind them. There's some really good teams in the Central Division that are chasing those Minnesota Wild, and I can't imagine they're going to play this well for the entire season.
Going to the East, the Boston Bruins.
Wow.
As you said, Petey, is trouble brewing.
Double run. See what I did there?
David
That was really good.
David Pastrňák benched Boston. They lost again last night. This is a market, the opposite of a market like Carolina, where maybe there's less pressure. Like all eyes are on Boston. Like there's what chaos is talking about is Montgomery on the hot seat. Like what is going on in Boston? They're 6-7-1, 13 points. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10. What's your read on the
Are they taking some of the brunt of Jeremy Swayman's holding out over the summer? Did that put Jeremy Swayman off to a rough start? I think the answer would be yes. You look at Swayman and Allmark, what they did as a tandem last year. Well, their numbers were elite together. They're not together anymore. And I think that had a bigger impact. And you look up front, I don't know if this team is deep enough. What they did, and everybody said, well, it's the same team. Well, it's not, though. They changed a lot of their bottom six, including DeBrusque, who went up to play north of the border. And I think those are the players that made the Boston Bruins the Boston Bruins. They need their stars. They need Pastrňák to be outstanding. They need Hampus Lindholm to carry the puck up to Ace and McAvoy. They need their stars. But Boston's built on playing four lines and having a bottom six that can really carry the ball. And I'm not sure that this year's mix is able to do that. And then you go to what you said about Montgomery. Montgomery now has had a dust-up with his captain on the bench, very public with Marchand 2 weeks ago.
And which you talked about in an audio-only episode.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard it, listen to it, because
yeah.
I have thoughts about what goes on with the players. And then this week, he benches their best player. Now, benching your best player for a period that you end up in a game that you end up winning helps send a message. I agree with that. I have no problem sitting down a player, no matter his status in your team. I have no problem with that. And David Pastrňák, you want to send a message to the Boston Bruins? Send a message to David Pastrňák. But I'm starting to wonder if you see these two things now in the media over the last 10 days, both involving their top players and their top skilled players and their most important players in the franchise, you start to wonder. You start to get concerned at what's going on with that franchise, and that's where you start to point fingers at Jim Montgomery and go, uh-oh, is there trouble a brewing in the locker room? And there might be. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the first to go this year.
I put them down in the time codes as the Boston Bruins.
Oh,
wow.
Boston Bruins. That's a Halloween reference, too.
It's just crazy.
Is it still Halloween?
No.
I mean, I'm still watching. I'm still like, I didn't get enough horror movies in, so I'm still
yeah,
ripping.
I'm going to work on that,
horror
too.
movies feels like the vibes.
David took the time to put the things in.
Wow, David. Craig would be so proud.
Put the things over the
David
letters.
said David Pastrňák should be traded out of the Boston Bruins.
That's
That
aggressive.
is a hot take,
That is
David.
a hot take, David. I'm not gonna go that far.
I also think that it's kind of not a hot take, but it's a surprising take to the stuff about Montgomery, just because, like, this team. Look at the team 2 years ago. They have the best regular season in NHL history. Last year they went, on a run in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and all of a sudden, and listen, it's 1 month into the season, but we are 3 weeks away from that Thanksgiving thing. I think that Boston's going to figure things out in the second half.
Okay.
I think they're going to be in the playoffs.
Pastrňák gets traded. Doesn't matter where. Headline for the local paper: carb loading.
Wow.
Out of pasta. I will say this, though. They're 3 points behind Toronto for second. Like, we're talking about panic button in Nashville. Nashville's last in the West. Boston's in the middle of the pack in the Atlantic. They're right there. They're one win and a tie. They're a good weekend road trip away from being in second. Like, I would say pump the brakes.
They're going to win 13 straight games at some point in the year. Everything's going to be fine.
Well, what, 13? But yeah, this is close to. They're closer to figuring it out than Nashville, without a doubt. I think Boston is that close, which either shows how bad Toronto is because they're in second. And we talk about bad Boston's been, and Boston's 3 points behind
Toronto beat
them.
Toronto 4-0 last night. So that was a big win for the Leafs.
With Stolars.
All right, couple other notes. We have Connor McDavid returning from injury today. He's been out for a couple weeks, so that's great news for the Edmonton Oilers. And then, of course, Macklin Celebrini returned last night. Not that San Jose is a team that having him or not having him is going to help him necessarily in the standings, but to have him in the lineup creates buzz and excitement around that team. Like we felt that last year with Logan Cooley and thinking, oh my gosh, something to watch, something to be excited for. And also you don't want to see a young player get injured so early in his career and miss time. So two big additions for the Pacific Division
Yeah, and I think
teams.
for Edmonton, they go as Connor McDavid goes, period.
Yeah,
Like,
that one's huge for them.
This team is not a Stanley Cup contender a year ago, if not for Connor McDavid. And they won't be a playoff contending team if he isn't their best player and in the lineup all the time. So that affects them greatly, not just in the attention to their team, but the way they play.
They're 500 right now, by the way. Like
they need to get playing better. I don't love Edmonton.
I know
I haven't
you don't.
for a while, but so we'll see how they turn around. It's big for him to be in the lineup. And then when you go to Celebrini, you're right. I think when you have a team like that, you want Connor McDavid to play. You want Celebrini to play. You want the young stars of the game to play, and you want to see those guys. That's what makes those other teams exciting. But there are a lot of injuries around the league, and you talk about it all the time with Colorado. Colorado's injured. Oh, they're injured. They're injured. I think everybody's got injured players, don't they? Like, why do they get the excuse all the time?
Well, let's talk about Colorado for a second because like they have all these injuries, and I think because they get because it's supposed to be a cup contending team.
Fair.
And you see them struggle extremely out of the gate, like not a good start for the Avalanche. So you think, okay, well, this is a team that's supposed to be not just a playoff team, but a Stanley Cup favorite team, and they're struggling. Why is that? It's injuries. Well, it seems like they keep getting hit again and again and again. And then just last night, you see Cale Makar go down with what appeared to be a non-contact injury, which sometimes is worse than a contact injury. We have no updates on Makar as of the time that we're talking right now. I hope it's nothing bad for him. He's having an unbelievable season, was leading the whole league in points at a certain point. So it's just... I mean, he's second in the league.
Second in points, first in defenseman. When he's in the lineup, that team is better. That team is able to score like nobody's business. They still need a goaltender. Rudo, get him a goalie. Like we talked about it enough. Get a goalie in Denver. This team, more than any other team in the league over the last 2 or 3 years, has been an injury bug riddled. And it starts with Landeskog. Landeskog has not played a game since they lifted the Stanley Cup at Ball Arena. He has not played since that Stanley Cup run. And will he ever play again? I don't know. He's skating right now, but every once in a while you hear, while he's getting closer, but he still hasn't played. And when he does play, how is that going to be? He hasn't played in 2 seasons. And the Chuskin's on that suspension that is now finally lifted, and he's going to start skating and everything. I think that's a big addition for this team, but it's the role players, because with McKinnon and Rantanen in the lineup, this team is very, very good. But Ross Colton was having a great start to a season because he's playing with McKinnon. Drouin had a great start because he was playing with McKinnon. It's these role players. Miles Wood is out too. It's the role players, not the key players, if that makes sense. And I think that's really hurt this Colorado team. Now, Arturi Lehkonen just came back. Everybody says if they can be healthy, well, unfortunately, you have to play the team you have. And if they are healthy, yes, they're a cup contender, but they're never healthy. I don't know. I'm wondering about that. Unless they get much better goaltending, they might have to wait till they're healthy to start going on a run. Yeah,
and you run into the window where it gets hard to do that. You saw it happen with Edmonton. They had a huge bounce back after a terrible start last season, but it's a small window that you have to turn it around. I think that they will, but it doesn't help that they keep having not only their role players, but now their stars going down with injury. So we'll keep an eye on that. And of course, you can check in with our friends over at DNVR Avalanche for all the Avs updates as well. We still have a lot of NHL storylines to talk about. We're going to talk about Alexander Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, the Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins, and more. We're going to talk about the NHL coaches in NHL 25 because it is a hoot. We're going to definitely have some laughs there. All of this coming up on PHNX Hockey. Our friends from CHGO were in town this week, and the first thing they said to me was, "Is that Empire flooring in our Studio A?" They were so impressed by the flooring in there. I'm not kidding. They were like, "This is so great. This is so much better than the floors we have in our studios. We need to get Empire Today out at our studio to get us some flooring like this." That just goes to show how much of an impact Empire Today can have on a room and how many people are going to walk in and say, "Look at this. I want something just like that." That is the impact of Empire Today. Empire cares about quality. They care about getting it done right. They care about helping make doing floors in your house a little less stressful. It's a stressful thing. They want to make it less stressful for you, and they're going to do it in a way that really, really cares about how it's done. And that's the most important thing when you have your home done, especially a big project like your flooring. So you can schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empirettoday.com/PHNX for details. What's coming up at Gila? I see you on the site.
I'm waiting for this weekend. The Shania Twain experience is coming. Not Shania. I'm sorry. Shania is not going. The Shania Twain experience, the Garth Brooks experience is coming. But 80s Heroes Night Ranger. It may not be one of your favorites, but I listened to them when I was in high school. You weren't born yet. So if you want entertainment, there's the best place in the valley to go see them is at the Gila Resorts and Gila
Wow.
River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass Theater. Check out all the entertainment people come. Not just the greatest sports book, not just the big screen TVs, not just the huge gaming floor they have at their casino. They have the best entertainment in the valley.
Absolutely. And as always, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit play@gila.com for more details, and make sure you keep your eye on our website for all of our upcoming events out at Wild Horse Pass. All right. We are going to transition and talk about Alex Ovechkin, who still somehow remains to be one of the best of all time. And it's funny because it's yet another storyline that we're talking about. Oh, before the season, he's slowing down. Last year, it seemed like all they were doing was trying to help Ovi get the record. And this year, not only is he making progress toward the record, the Washington Capitals are doing extremely well to boot. Ovi has 7 goals, 7 assists, and 14 points in 11 games played. The Washington Capitals are 8-3, 8-2 in their last 10. Connor in the chat says Spencer Carberry, early Coach of the Year candidate, Caps were seen aimless and clinching a meaningless 8th seed a few months ago. Nice guy too. Well, what's clicking for the Capitals?
The one thing, well, first it's Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Everything begins and ends with the offense with Alexander Ovechkin. You talked about him and his man, I was wondering if he was going to break the record. I'm one of the few naysayers saying he can't do it because the older he gets, the harder it's going to get. And he has 7 goals. He's got 5 goals in his last 4 games. He scored at least 1 goal in 4 games straight. But that's not what's making this team good. He's playing great. What's making this team good is their balanced scoring. Everybody's scoring for this team. Right now, they're 3rd in the National Hockey League in goals for per game. 3rd. This is the team that struggled for offense a year ago. Everybody's scoring. Dylan Strome is scoring. Connor McMichael has 7 goals. Tom Wilson has 6. Alexi Protas, if you haven't seen this kid play, Alexi Protas is fun to watch. He's number 21, plays on the line right now with Ovechkin. He's got speed, gets to the net hard. I'm telling you, I really like Alexi Protas, and I think that's
I've
why.
never heard of him.
Exactly. Turn it on. The number 21 for the Washington Capitals. I tell you what, he brings excitement and he's got speed, and that's one thing that sometimes with Alex Ovechkin doesn't play with speed. Protas does, and I think this Washington Capital team finally, one team that I said wasn't going to make the playoffs, if they can continue to get really good goaltending, maybe. And I think the tandem, Lindgren has been great when he's been in. Logan Thompson has been up and down and inconsistent in the net. Jacob Chikrin's hurt. He's out day to day. Hopefully they get him back in the lineup soon because they need that big shot from the top of the point, which they really need. Carlson's there to help provide it, but they need Chikrin back in the lineup. This Washington Capital team is playing better as a team, and I can't believe I'm saying this, they're fun to watch. Because last year they were boring and slow and they couldn't get the puck up the ice. But I think Connor McMichael, Protas, those kind of players are help bringing pace to this Washington Capital team, and they're fun to watch.
It's funny because I was thinking, wow, Washington's so hot, and I pull up the division standings. Well, you got Carolina, who's won 7 straight with 18 points. You have the Devils, who are 8-5-2 with 18 points. The Rangers, who are 7-2-1 in their last 17. So Washington, despite it being 8-3 and 8-2 in their last 10, are actually 4th. In the Metro right now.
It's a tough division, and it's the best division in hockey right now. There's no question about it. And I think there's going to have to be some separation there. Somebody's going to get hot and somebody's going to struggle. And right now, I don't know who that is. It's funny because who's right behind them? It's Columbus. Yeah. Columbus is a team that we weren't sure where they were going to be with all the things they had going on in the offseason. And yet they're putting up together wins too. And that's without Boone Jenner in the lineup. So, this Metro division is really tough. And Washington is hanging around. Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So we'll talk about Pittsburgh. They're struggling, 7th in the Metro, 3-5-2 in their last 10, second to last in the division, like I said. Not great for the Penguins, but one person who has not shown any signs of age, speaking of players like Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby. I mean, he has 8 points in his last 4 games. No signs of slowing down from Sid. And I thought maybe that could be the difference maker in Pittsburgh fighting for a playoff spot or not. Unfortunately, they've had some, goaltending woes. They've, dealt with some stuff. I don't think they're really a complete team, which is unfortunate. But But Crosby, I mean, he still continues to be one of the greatest of all time.
It's 2024, and we're talking about the matchup of Crosby and Ovechkin.
I know.
Surprisingly, they play each other on Friday. They're head-to-head Friday night, and the storyline is Crosby versus Ovechkin.
It's insane.
Again.
It's insane.
Like, what are they like? They and they're better than they've been in years. Crosby's got 5 goals in his last 3 games. He's playing with pace. He's playing with speed right now. Crosby and Malkin are playing together, which is unusual, and they're playing with Rickard Rakell. That line right now is 1, 2, and 3 in scoring in Pittsburgh. So we talked about Washington having that depth scoring. The difference between Washington and Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh good players are playing well, but they've got nothing. Michael Bunting just got his first goal last night. Like, this team stinks. Once you get by their top end forwards, they are getting no secondary offense from anybody. They can't score beyond that top line. But I tell you what, Sidney Crosby is playing outstanding. I'm sincerely looking forward to that matchup.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. I can't believe we're talking about it.
Is it like a Wednesday night in 2012? Like,
I know.
what is this?
And you've got the stat on
yeah. So you sent this to me yesterday. Bleacher Report, the Hockey Bleacher Report Twitter tweeted, since the NHL first started tracking 3 stars of the week in 06-07, this is somehow the first time Ovechkin and Crosby have received the honor in the same week.
That's crazy to me. How could that be? How could that be?
What?
How could that be? The two of the most predominant players in the history of the game that are playing at the exact same time, and that's never happened? Wow. And on top of that, they play each other. Like, it's a game, I have to admit, Pittsburgh and Washington on a Friday night. But I'm going to watch this now because I want to see who can keep their goal streak alive.
It's good stuff.
It's crazy.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff. But they got to get better goaltending. Nedeljkovic, he's the answer.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the moment I've been waiting for all show. So the NHL 25 video game came out this year, and they added in coaches. Before, they had all the players, but this time they added coaches' likeness. So first of all, can you give a little background to how the coaches made it into this game?
Yeah, I think this is one of the things that the National Hockey League Coaches Association is a really strong union. And I think they have never been represented here before, but there's finally an agreement with the EA Sports, and they were able to reach an agreement to use the coaches' likenesses. Everybody's excited. Everybody's happy about the arrangement. And then the images come out. And I don't know if they're as thrilled.
All right, so let's take a look. By the way, if you're listening on audio, make sure you check out the video side, or you can find these pictures on Twitter. We have our first set of 4 here.
But can I? Is the guy that did this like? Here's what I think. The guy at EA Sports and this guy, they code in a basement somewhere, right? Like, they're coding. He's got the popcorn bucket, and he's just in the dark. This is a guy that's drinking.
That's not how that works anymore.
He was drinking. And he started off, the first one, he's like, some of these are realistic as hell. I could walk in here right now and go, oh my God, I know who that is. And then as he got down to about 15 or 16 or halfway through, he's like, he's hammered. He's hammered. And
you know what they should have done, though? They should have allowed the coaches to pick their ties, because we're already seeing a repeat tie right now.
Yeah, you're so right. Okay, so here's the first set.
Sorry, not even a repeat tie. That's a repeat suit.
Yeah. So on the far left, we have the head coach of the Anaheim Ducks, Greg Cronin. I had to look it up just to make sure, because I didn't know who that was, if that tells you anything. Next, you have Jim Montgomery. I think of these 4, it's probably like the best version. I mean, it's easy with him. He has like a bald head. It's easy to identify.
I'm for that. Yeah.
I mean, but even his facial.
It's easy to sculpt a polygon of a bald head.
But even his facial expression, you can see. Okay, here's where it loses me. The next one next to Montgomery, that's supposed to be Lindy Ruff, Petey. That is the least Lindy Ruff looking person I've ever seen in my life. That is not Lindy Ruff.
That's the evil stepdad of a Hallmark movie. For sure. What is that?
He's looking Lindy Ruff.
He's looking very Lindy Ruff. That is bad. Like, at some point, are the coaches going to sue because of their likenesses are so bad? Like, I'd sue if that looked like me. That's terrible.
Who
doesn't look like Lindy Ruff. That's not the Jim Montgomery. You go, okay, I see it. You see it. I would see that.
Even Cronin, you can say, like, they kind of went for it.
That's not even like,
and Lindy Ruff,
there's not one thing about that.
No, and Lindy Ruff, like, he's iconic. Like, he's
literally
so well
known. That was. If I didn't look down and see the Buffalo story.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Awful. All right, next we have on the far right, we have Ryan Huska, head coach of the Calgary Flames there.
It's not good, but again, here's the advantage of Ryan Huska. Is nobody knows what Ryan Huska looks like.
That's true.
So nobody's going to complain about it.
This one's not too bad
It's
for
not
me.
too bad.
No,
but
I
again,
would be a little
What's
upset
bad-
about
what's-
the hair.
The hair is what's bad.
Yeah.
Because he
He doesn't have any.
No, it's
So
if
why
it
do you
is,
think bald
it's
guys
very,
have
it's,
hair?
it's very clean shaven.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
like,
making
this
it seem
like
like,
Jim
Yeah.
Montgomery's bald. They show him bald.
yeah.
You are going to see this theme coming up more than once.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny though is Jim Montgomery is not just bald; he's super bald,
And it's
he's,
shiny.
He's not just bald on the head; he's also bald everywhere
Yeah.
completely.
Very, very shiny. No,
Like
no.
he's
So I
a
think
naked mole rat.
we can agree on this one. Of the first four, Montgomery wins.
Okay, next. Okay, here's where the bald theme comes in. So on the left, we have former Coyotes head coach, current Vancouver Canucks head coach, Rick Tocchet, who last time I checked, Rick Tocchet is fully bald. And in this photo, he is not. And I cannot believe how, of all the NHL coaches that I've seen on Twitter,
Yeah.
this is the one that everyone is like, they did him so dirty.
Yeah, he might have texted me in a quote and saying, "It's awful." That might be a Rick Tocchet quote.
The hair is so
But he
bad.
doesn't have hair.
I will say, like, the face,
Yeah.
it's not bad.
Not-
He looks like
Not
he looks like
terrible.
a 10-day road trip, and he's like super tired. He hasn't shaved his head in a while, and he's just like he's had it. Like a
the
10-game
hair.
losing streak.
Why would
That's
they
bad.
do him like that? He's bald. Just make him
Let it go.
bald like
Just let it go.
Montgomery.
Yeah, just let it go.
You can leave the 5 o'clock shadow. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Awful.
Because everybody has that in the NHL. Most of them do. Most coaches have the 5 o'clock shadow because it's a tough league.
Okay. So to the right, who is that?
That's
Bru-
Cassidy, isn't it?
Is it Cassidy or is it Brunette? What jersey is that?
That's the Knights.
Okay, so it's Cassidy.
Yeah.
Okay. The
It's
fact that we
close, kind of.
debated it
Yeah.
was tough.
I see it though.
I could see it. But
I see it.
yeah. Okay. Then we have Spencer Carberry.
Eh,
Okay.
Another
Again,
bald guy.
bald guy.
another bald guy. That's it. How about the next one?
Yeah. Then you got the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, Scott Arniel. Is that how you say
Scott
it?
Arniel.
What do you think of this
No.
one?
Just no. That's just bad. That's just like honestly, that's bad. Like
You know
it's
what's
not
funny? You know what's funny is it looks just like his headshot when he was a player, but they rapidly aged him in some filter, like completely.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah.
I'll throw this up on the screen shortly.
But again, it's just bad. Like but
Like his eyes.
But does it matter? Because you just see him on the bench. Like that's a frightening. He looks like a horror movie monster. Like that's the guy. He's very, very scary, but very similar to what he looked like to what Shane Diefenbach said. That's bad. That's one of the worst ones so far for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
There it
the
is,
Scott
everyone.
Arniel. The Scott Arniel. Yeah.
Doesn't that look like somebody just accelerated his aging?
Yeah. It's like they did it on like a
Because that's not
Dateline.
what he looks like now.
It's like Dateline.
Oh yeah, when they do
They
like,
find the bones, and here's what he would look like
Yeah.
now. That's what they did. And it looks like a really sketchy sketch. That's what it is.
Okay, let's take a look at the next group. Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
All right. So starting on the left, who is that?
I honestly don't have
Blues?
a guess.
Drew Bannister. I don't even know what he looks like. Sorry, Drew. Let's take a look.
but no.
I guess they got the glasses right.
He wore
And
glasses.
that's all they
That's
got right.
it.
Yeah.
Why is his head so flat?
This is the Batman villain.
His head looks condensed.
This is the Batman villain, the accountant.
And why are his glasses so foggy?
Foggy. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's-
What? All right.
that's bad.
Next, you got John Cooper. That does not look like
No.
John Cooper's a handsome man.
That looks like a baby.
John
That
Cooper.
looks like a baby man.
John Cooper's a handsome man. Look at how his head doesn't fit inside his suit collar. That's just lazy.
That's a baby man.
That's
Why
a-
why did
Also-
they do his forehead like that?
Also-
Good looking guy.
It's the longest forehead I've ever seen.
John Cooper kind of has like more silvery hair than that. Why
yeah,
would
he's
you
a
not?
fox.
I think he's
Yeah.
handsome.
rough.
I think he's handsome.
Like that? If
That is
he
not
walked
Do you
in.
think he's handsome?
I do. I've said it enough now. I've said it enough. The next one.
Okay, Craig Berube.
if I'm the guy that designed this, I would make sure I'm not in the same room when Craig
His
Berube walks in.
eyes.
Craig Berube is a tough. Like this. What is that? It's terrible.
It's awful. I'm sorry, Craig Berube.
I don't know what it is. Like it's like a
I-
cartoon.
I think the facial expression did him wrong, but I think,
Do you?
I think it's pretty good.
It's like a cartoon, like he'd be in Bugs Bunny, and he just got hit with an anvil.
I have a reference picture that's
pretty terrible.
It's pretty accurate. Hold on, please.
Did you see the last one on that sheet?
Yeah.
He looks for this.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a second. That's the most insane thing I've ever seen. Here you go.
Oh, you can get that fast. You're good.
Here, this is the. Look how close it is, though. Like see.
I mean, I guess I can see the expression.
That's the reference image they use.
That is the reference image.
I just think they needed to make his eyes not look like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
bizarre.
It is bizarre. Okay, and then the last one, someone we're all familiar with. That is supposed to be, by the way, repeat tie. This light blue tie has gone around. That's Andre Tourigny.
No, is it though? Like that. Honest.
He looks like he's.
I don't know
where he's from. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't know what that is. Again, there's some of the things in Cooper I can see a little bit in the eyes, and I can see Berube I get a little bit. I get
literally nothing. If I did not see the Utah jersey in front of him, I would have no clue.
No idea.
No idea. Literally no clue.
He looks
like an Eastern European.
Yeah, he looks Mongolian. Yeah. He looks Mongolian,
like a coal miner. Yeah.
If Andre Tourigny was Mongolian, this would be perfect, but he's not.
Yeah, Eastern European. I don't see it at all.
Oh my gosh.
I don't see it at all.
All right, next grouping. Let's go.
That's so bad.
All right, this one. I think this and the Rick Tocchet one were the two that blew up the most. That is supposed, on the far left, that is supposed to be John Tortorella.
That's a mad scientist.
That is, I don't know what that is. That's so bad.
Who is that?
It literally looks like somebody like in a cartoon was mixing elixirs and that blew up in their face.
Yes, that's it. And you got the hair like that.
So What Chaos had a hilarious tweet about this. So for those who watch Succession, he looks like Connor Roy, which is so funny.
Oh my gosh,
such a good comparison.
Way closer to Connor Roy.
John Tortorella has a very recognizable face. Yes. They could have done well with this.
Yes.
Because actually, I will say this grouping, besides Tortorella.
Of that one, it's better. This might be the best grouping we've had.
But John, that is not. Who is that man?
So
that is not Torts.
Is this 2024? Do we not have AI? Can we not do better than this? Do better.
Yeah, awful. I think Mike Sullivan looks a lot like Mike Sullivan.
I get it.
That's Mike Sullivan.
You show me that, and that's Mike Sullivan.
Yeah.
That's a cartoon Mike Sullivan. I get it. I can live with that.
Yep. Then you have San Jose Sharks head coach Ryan Warsofsky. Again, he's so new that I don't really know what he looks like. But
it looks like
it does.
Yeah, I think that's really good, actually.
And I think Dan Bilesma
is a dead ringer.
Like, I think that's probably the best of
one.
All 32.
I do, too. Dan Bilesma looks like Dan Bilesma. Like got the expression of Dan Bilesma. It looks like Dan Bilesma. That's Dan Bilesma. When you look at the four of them together, it's like the Tortorella's like a South Park teacher.
This is
it's just so bad.
This particular screenshot is like the meme of the dragon heads, and they're all serious, and then one's goofy. Like that's Tortorella.
I think they combined Mike Sullivan and Sidney Crosby, though.
Yeah, they might have.
His hair.
I can't get over the Tortorella.
His hair's way too dark.
Can't get rid of the Tortorella.
Yeah. In comparison, it's
and also he looks way too like happy.
Because there's nothing about it that says okay. There's one more.
No, there's a couple more.
Is there?
Yeah.
We're only halfway through.
Yeah, we better get moving then. All right, who do we have next? We have Sheldon Keefe on the left.
I actually recognize him.
It's okay. Patrick Waugh?
No, don't see anything.
Why does he look so gaunt?
It's bad. It's just bad. Just bad. Head shape, hair shape is nothing. That's not Patrick Waugh. Terrible.
Who's that? To the right of him. Is that supposed to be Is that supposed to be Peter Laviolette?
Oh my God, that's Peter Laviolette. It looks like Clark Kent. Like Peter Laviolette, of all the ones, like Tortorella should sue because it looks horrific of him. Laviolette's like this guy looks like he's going to like he should be in Mad Men. Like he's gonna go sell ads today. Like
it looks like Babe Ruth.
Oh my gosh, it's a Babe Ruth, but really good hair. And he's in the wrong year.
If I was Laviolette, I'd be okay with
That's
this.
Not Laviolette. I will say Travis Green.
Yeah.
In Ottawa, I recognize that one right away. He played here for Arizona. Travis Green's a former Coyote.
They kind of nailed his hair.
I saw it.
They nailed his hair.
I saw it in there. I saw him.
All right. Next one, we have on the far left a very angry looking Jim Hiller.
Yeah, I can see it a little bit. It's okay.
Okay.
Oh, the bald guys? This is one of the
John
best.
Hines.
John Hines is one of the best bald guys.
Yeah.
I see it.
I see it too.
Yep.
Okay. Marty St. Louis is where it loses me. What did they do to his hair? Why does he have a mohawk.
The back half of this picture is insane.
And he's standing on a box, I think, too.
Yeah,
you can barely see over his player's eye in real life.
He looks like he's from a kid's show, and his face has been modified to make it more like fun.
Look at his smile. It is so creepy.
That's terrible. That's bad.
Like,
that's a bad one too.
What's the term when something looks human but it's not?
I don't know.
Uncanny Valley. He looks Uncanny Valley.
And then you round it out with Andrew Burnett. Which that one, I see it
a little.
It's not. He looks like he's about to get hit by a car.
Yeah, I'm going to say no on that one too.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We have Pete DeBoer.
Pete DeBoer?
No. What?
Oh my God,
no.
that's bad.
No. No.
That's not Pete DeBoer at all.
It's not. Then you have Derek Lalonde to the right. Again, the weird, like, bald, not bald
it's weird,
thing.
Though. It's a weird picture.
Okay, what do you think about Chris Knobloch?
It's so bad.
His face looks like it got
if you're not
crunched.
if you're listening to this on the car radio, this bit sucks, but this is funny.
That's why I said you gotta go look on
that
video.
Is so bad of Knobloch. And again, I don't know how hard it is to generate things on the computer, because when you look at the players look pretty close. And there's over 300 of them.
Yeah.
Look, you can't get 30 coaches right.
I know.
That's
and
bad.
then on the far right you have Paul Maurice. Which
you think so?
They nailed the glasses, but they didn't nail the hair color.
When you say they nailed the glasses, like, is that even a thing? They nailed the glasses?
I mean, the bar is low if I'm saying you nailed the glasses.
Glasses are also foggy.
Yeah, why are all the glasses foggy?
Thing is a thing. It doesn't look anything like Paul Maurice. Sorry.
All right, last one. Let's take a look. All right.
Oh no, Bednar.
Okay,
Rob Brindamore?
Yes. Brindamore on the left. I see it.
Yeah, I see it. That's
all right.
Okay. Luke Richardson? Maybe.
They kind of did him dirty with his hairline.
Yeah, the hairline's but it's okay. Again, he's wearing the same tie that everybody else had on. So and then I don't know what that is. Is that like this guy's in the Flintstones?
It literally looks
Jared
like
Bednar?
Somebody like messed with the proportions too much. Like, oh, I'm just gonna make the nose a little bit bigger. Oh God!
He looks like when Shrek was human.
Yes, he does.
That's it. You nailed it. That's Shrek. Shrek when he's human. The jaw and the nose. That's Shrek. That's great. Yeah, he's one of the worst. And Dean Evanson's like. By the time
why are his facial features so teeny in the middle of his face?
Yeah, like they shrunk. Like you're talking about. Like Shane was talking about proportion, like his facial structure and facial features are just like crammed into one little tiny spot. That's when they just gave up. Like they were just done. The guy's just like, I've got one left. It's Dean Evison. Let's just throw some eyes onto it. That is, my gosh, you nailed it. That is Shrek.
That is human Shrek.
That was really disappointing.
So there you have it. Let us know in the chat.
Best to worst.
Who do you think is the best? Who is the worst? And who should sue? How about that? Let us know in the chat. To the coaches, I'm sorry. I'm sure they don't care too much. But
here's one thing. Because we all here at the All City Network, we get our little cartoon faces. It's kind of a rite of passage when you finally get your cartoon face, right?
It is.
And what do we all do when we get our cartoon face? It doesn't look like me. And then like I wanted to be better looking. And then ultimately I go, you know what? It looks exactly like me because that's what I look like. And you're not happy about it because you understand that self-realization that maybe you're not as good looking as you were hoping to be. And you get through it and you go, okay, this is me. But we've seen characters here in the studio. They don't look like any of us. But our cartoons, they do look like us. We like it or not, they look like us. These representations do not.
Well, I will say it's cool to see the coaches in the game. I think it's a cool step forward. And I just think maybe, it was their first go at it. It's going to take some time.
Yes. And hopefully they get a check for it or a free suit.
Well, I'm sure they'll make some money off their likeness being used.
I would think so.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up with some updates on hockey in Arizona and the Arizona hockey teams, the Roadrunners, and ASU. All of that's coming up next on PHNX Hockey. If you are not part of the inner circle, you are absolutely missing out on chances to save at the pump every single time. I save money at Circle K every single time I go because I am a member of the inner circle. I save 5 cents per gallon because if your first 5 fill-ups when you sign up, you save 25 cents. 3 cents for a little after that. And then once you hit a certain threshold, it's 5 cents forever saved every time. Plus, there's always food and drink specials on the Circle K app. So make sure you are a member of the Inner Circle. It is so easy to join. All you have to do is go to the Circle K app, download it. It's free to download. And make sure you enjoy your member-exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members like you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. Nothing is that cheap these days.
Nothing.
Take advantage of that offer. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. And maybe you can stop at Circle K on your way out to our trivia night tomorrow night.
That's tomorrow?
Yes. Tomorrow night at Chicken and Pickle, we will be out there for our second trivia night we've done. It's going to be an absolute blast.
What time is it, Leah?
It's at 6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m.
at Chicken and Pickle in Glendale. Chicken and Pickle, if you've never been, the food is amazing. The drinks are great. The atmosphere is great. We're going to be out there 6:30 to 8 this Thursday at Chicken and Pickle, presented by Sanderson Ford. There's going to be prizes for the winning teams. It's completely free to RSVP, and there's going to be food and drink specials.
How big are the teams, Leah?
You can have teams of 4.
Okay.
So we have a couple of more spots available. So make sure you RSVP so we know you're coming. We've been preparing the questions. They're going to be great. So we want to see everybody
the
out.
Questions?
Everyone.
Everybody pitches in?
Yep.
Then how can you be on a team?
Well,
if you know the questions.
Oh, you only know the questions you contributed. So
sound rigged.
If you want to RSVP, make sure you go to gophnx.com/events. All right, Petey.
Yes. We've got a few more minutes.
Couple more minutes. Something we've talked about on this show. We talk about hockey in Tucson, and we talk about Tucson Arena. And feels like we've heard rumors forever of an additional rink being built in Tucson, because last week we watched the video of youth hockey still doing incredibly well down in Tucson, and we said they just need more ice. And we've heard of this arena needing to get built forever. You have a little bit of an update. So what can you share with us?
Well, I will say this. For Arizona hockey fans, the Mosaic Quarter Iceplex, that's what it's called, the MQ Iceplex, in Tucson is going to happen. It is at Interstate 10 and Benson Highway. Dirt is officially being moved.
Wow, that's a big deal. We all know that.
This is all privately financed. There's no bonds. There's no tax money going to this.
Wow.
It's all privately financed. It's got 3 sheets of ice inside. It's going to be hosting to youth hockey, junior hockey programs. And the main tenant is the University of Arizona Wildcats.
Yeah, and we have the rendering right here if you're watching on video. Looks like a perfect size for a college rink.
It's going to see 3,000 people. It's going to be great.
Similar to Mullet, a little smaller.
Yep.
This is exactly what Tucson needs, I think.
It's fantastic.
To have multiple sheets of ice.
Can you imagine? You can have tournaments down there now.
There's one sheet of ice in Tucson. It's Tucson Arena.
The TCC.
Yeah.
This is going to be great for hockey down there. And we're not sure what's going to happen with the Tucson Roadrunners over the coming years, but this is good to see for hockey to continue in the state of Arizona. I think it's going to be huge. Senior men's hockey. There's so many people that drive from Tucson to get up to Chandler and Gilbert to play hockey. Now they can stay in Tucson and play. I think it's going to be great for the sport in the state. I think you're going to see a number of kids learning to play, learning to skate. Youth hockey is going to blow up. This is fantastic. And most importantly, it's actually really going to get built.
Yeah.
And it's not bonded. It's not votes. It's not taxes. It's a real hockey
when you
arena.
said dirt was moving, I got excited.
So I'm going to get more information as this goes on. I've been in contact with some people down there in Tucson, and we're going to be telling the whole story of what's the progress of this building. We'll probably go down and take a peek at where it is and all of those things in the months to come. Unfortunately, it's not something that gets built in a month or two. This does take time. So it's going to be hopefully within the next 2 years.
But it has begun, which is what's most important.
Optimistic.
I got a good nickname for it already.
What's that?
The MQ Ultra.
Oh, okay.
Mind control.
I don't get it.
The MK Ultra. It's a mind control. Never mind. Okay.
I'm sure someone in the chat
probably
Chat probably got it.
and I don't not to go down this crazy road, but I'm thinking, a big part of ASU becoming D1 NCAA was having a building.
Yep.
And I don't think U of A is there yet, but I dream about a day that we can have a U of A NCAA Division I hockey team. Imagine the rivalries. I mean, having that arena, it's a huge step.
Yep.
Now, if there's somebody who's willing, obviously the Mullet family stepped up and made a huge donation, and that's part of the reason why they were able to make ASU D1. If there's a donor willing to take that step for U of A, this arena potentially they're already going to house the ACHA Division I team. Like, that's a great step in the right direction to getting D1 hockey at U of A.
It's the one big thing keeping the NHL from Arizona right now is there's not a facility to play in. Well, now Tucson just checked the box for an NCAA team. And I know you brought the point. It's going to be money. It's going to take somebody to put in the effort like a Greg Powers did here. They're going to need that down in Tucson. And we haven't seen that to this point. But
I'd love to see it, though.
When they are ready, a 3,000-seat college arena in Tucson is the exact size that you need to have down there.
It'd be amazing.
It would be fantastic. Can you imagine the rivalries?
Oh
Wildcat,
my God.
ASU
I mean,
Hockey
the Wildcat ASU ACHA games were
huge.
Electric for years.
Yep.
So imagine in Division I, it would be incredible. It'd be incredible.
So
Speak it into existence.
Be another 70-7, probably.
All right.
Let's speak it into existence.
Maybe 70-1.
I don't know. A lot of those Canadian kids like small towns to go play in. You wait and see. It'd be good to have that
Tucson
rivalry.
isn't a small town. It's got a population of 1 million, right? It's a big town,
No,
big city.
it's like 500,000.
It's a big city.
I'd like to see it happen. So let's root for that and push it into existence, Leah.
Sticking with Tucson, the Roadrunners were off this past weekend, but they do face San Diego this weekend. If you're looking for an activity, go down the I-10. Check out the Roadrunners facing the San Diego Gulls, the 9th and 10th. Currently, the Roadrunners are 4-4, 6th in the Pacific, led by Igor Sokolov, who we talked a lot about last week. So go support the Runners down in Tucson. A big weekend, though, for them. A big division.
They got to get wins to get back in this.
Yep.
This is huge. Josh Doan played really well last week. Almost got a hat trick in his second game back. You can go out and see Josh Doan here in Military Appreciation Day. It's
also nice because they played in the middle of the week last week. So, but that gives them one weekend off. That gives them like some extra practice time, some extra rest time, which
which they needed.
Yeah,
you want to get everybody healthy again. It's a Saturday, Sunday instead of Friday. Sunday's an afternoon matinee at 4:00. So make sure you get down there and check it out. I think this Tucson Roadrunner team needs these wins against a team lower than them in the standings, and then they head on the road to play Ontario, another team below them. So they might be able to turn things around right now.
Well, up here we got ASU starting NCHC play. This is the moment we've kind of all been waiting for since it was announced they were going to join this conference. This is the year. It's finally happening. They're at Colorado College this weekend. Colorado College is ranked 8th, so it's going to be a tall task for the Sun Devils, who also had a week off. We caught up with head coach Greg Powers last week. If you missed that, the video is on our PHNX Sports YouTube channel. We have an interview with Greg Powers and forward Ryan Kerwin as well.
That was fun.
Both great interviews. Check them out. But Greg Powers talked about, the benefit of having that weekend off. It's something that when they were independent, they never had the luxury of having. And to get that full week off to practice things that they really, really needed to address. He said that was so important to them. They were able to, do small group work to really focus in on those things. Will it pay off for them this weekend? That is yet to be seen, but it's definitely an advantage that they've never had before. But it's going to be a tough task going into Colorado this weekend, and NCHC play from here on out. So
this is playing with the big boys. This is what they wanted. They wanted to play in the toughest conference in college hockey, and they're going to get it playing against this team. They got a guy to watch out this weekend for me is Artem Schlein, a guy that just got back from an injury. You're looking at a big player, he's just over 6 feet, 6'1", 185, a guy that can get to the net. They are going to need to find a way to produce offense, and that's the Achilles heel of this team right now is they haven't been able to score. So they're going to have to find a way because this is real now. This is conference play, and there's no taking any weekends off. They need to come out of there with a split. If they can get out of the number 8 team on the road with a split, I think they're in a great spot setting up to coming home against Omaha, Nebraska.
Yep, absolutely. And it feels like ASU hasn't played at home in a minute. So we're looking forward to having them home. I know a lot of you listening and watching love to check out the ASU games. So this weekend, you can check out the Roadrunners. The following weekend, you can check out the Sun Devils. Still lots of great hockey here in the Valley, and still a great and strong hockey community here as well. Make sure you become a diehard today. Join our Discord. Get access to our Discord. Get access to exclusive written content on our website. Get a free shirt when you sign up. Get 20% off merch and events. Many great reasons to become a diehard PD. And as we said, we still have a very strong and mighty hockey community here. We want to keep that alive. Like I said, the CHGO guys were here this week. They were asking, do you think a team can come back? We'll come back. And I said, yes. And we just got to stay strong until then. So stick with us, everybody. We appreciate you immensely. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on this video. Be sure to to just follow along with us.
And make sure you check out the Matt Schott Memorial Hockey Tournament this weekend that has girls from all over the country playing in it this weekend down in Gilbert, and support the girls in the state of Arizona.
Absolutely. You can follow all of us on Twitter at @SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, at Shane Deef. Follow the show at PHNX_hockey, and make sure you subscribe to both the PHNX Sports YouTube channel and PHNX Hockey wherever you get your podcasts for our weekly audio only episodes. Petey has been doing great with those. You can give him feedback in our Discord and on Twitter as well. But everybody, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Go enjoy some hockey and be part of the hockey community because it's a great one. But everybody, we love talking to you, and we'll talk to you all very, very soon.
We all silly like the mayor.